as individuals and as an organization. And you will appreciate that digitalization is a critical success factor for our organization and even for us as leaders and for our own personal productivity. It's a major thrust area for the organization. We're looking at deriving more than 1,500 crores of sustained value out of digitalization initiatives, and a lot of initiatives are being taken. So we all need to be alive and sensitive to the subject. So we felt it's very pertinent. We should have another dristy on this subject. Now the challenge that comes up is how do we get somebody who understands our context, but at the same time understands the core aspects of digitalization as a discipline, as a tailoring in itself, and that is where we got Sri Gangadharan. I'm grateful to him for giving his time. This is, as I said, more of a trigger, a nudge to think about a subject which, in any case, we are thinking about quite a lot, but getting a fresh perspective. And I think I'm grateful to ED Digital Transformation, Ved Prakash ji, who is also present here. And he'll be driving a lot of initiatives related to the digital transformation in SAIL and integrating a lot of things that are already happening in the plants and giving a core strategy to us. So Rajesh, I'll hand it over to you. But before we get started with Gangadharan Saab, I request
yes, sir.
Ved Prakash Saab to give his perspective and maybe kind of apprise the gathering here on what is really in the works when we're talking about digital transformation here.
Okay, sir, please, sir. Wait, sir.
Okay, good evening to all connected through this VC. First of all, I welcome the team of KPMG and especially Sri Gangadhar Krishnamurthy for this session, and we will be keen to learn from him how to overcome the challenges in digital transformation for the gigantic company like SAIL. And simultaneously, I extend my sincere thanks to the MTI for arranging this marvelous brief session, so that our other plant unit persons are also connected, so they will have some idea regarding the digitalization and what is the progress of this department, which is centrally created 6 months back by the SAIL. As we know that SAIL has already embarked on the journey on digitalization of our process and our units and other operations. Various digital initiatives have been taken by the individual SAIL integrated plant on the various domains. I think we had the detailed discussion with the KPMG team here 2-3 times, and they also helped us and gave input how to prepare our RFQ and other things. So various domains where the digital intervention has been taken: safety and surveillance, like geofencing of our premises, asset performance monitoring, like our critical rotating machines. We have installed the IoT sensor for vibration analysis, temperature of the bearing, so that we can get the timely alert, so that breakdown time can be reduced. Vehicle tracking system inside the plant, and in some few plant which is bit more digitally matured, like ISP and Bhilai Steel Plant blast furnace, we have the digital twin model of the process also. So we are gaining some benefit also, and the operators are learning from these models. So what if there is any change in input material, how the burden can be prepared like this. Transformer health monitoring, process cycle optimization of the SMS and others critical unit by using the video analytics also. Simultaneously, SAIL is also on the way to hire a reputed consultant by open tender who will prepare the complete digital roadmap for all 5 integrated plants. This include our mining group of mines, CMO and logistic functions also. And to be digital maturity shall be assessed by the successful bidder, and the various use case based on the first 6 months of roadmap. Based on that, the various digital use cases will be selected, so that across the plant, across all units, including mines, so that the accrual of benefit of 1,000 crores in this 3 years of digital journey. This total project or tender will be of the 3 years. First 6 months will be the roadmap preparation and assessment of the as on and to be status. And rest 24 months will be the implementation period. Whatever the digital use cases came out through the first 6 months will be implemented across the various units in 24 months. And last 6 months will be the competency building, establishment of COD centers and all that. And final, after 3 years, the total, this is a 60-40 based, 40% is the fixed price and the 60 is the variable. This 60% variable fees shall be given only when the desired KPAs and the 1,000 crores accrual benefit is reached. So I think Mr. Gangadhar already know about this, our RFQ and all that. And parallelly, it's not that parallelly various units of SAIL has active and MOU with the active MOU and interface with the academia also, like the institution, IITs and other institute of repute, to have a specialized solution case to case basis in the process shop, and this will continue parallel to this project. So again, welcome to Sri Gangadhar ji. So kindly deliberate on the what are the challenges and what could be the other hindrance that could be faced in this digital journey. So we want to elaborate on this topic.
Thank you very much, sir. And you rightly said that this is a topic of very critical importance for us, for our growth coming forward. And you also set the tone very aptly by mentioning what is our way forward in the digital journey for company as a whole, and what is we are planning, in which direction we'll go forward, sir. Now, without further much ado, let us delve into the heart of the matter for the discussion. For the speaker today, let me introduce Sri Gangadhar Krishnamurthy, sir. Sir is Associate Partner, Business Consulting in KPMG. He is a seasoned management consultant with more than 34 years of extensive industry experience. And his core expertise lies in providing transformational digital engineering solutions towards smart manufacturing, which includes technologies of Industry 4 and Industry IoT. Sir holds a master's in software engineering from BITS and bachelor's in electronics and electrical and electronics from College of Engineering, Trivandrum. Very importantly, sir was a part of SAIL and has spent 17 years at the Steel Authority of India Limited. And he has vast experience, which includes leading digital transformation programs for across the different industries. Sir, we welcome you for this session, sir.
Thank you, Rajiv ji, Sanjay ji, and Ved Prakash ji. It's immense pleasure to connect back with my alma mater. And like I said, 1990 batch Steel Authority of India Limited, joined SAIL in Bhilai, and then 4 years in VISL steel melting shop, and then I was with Mr. Nagmaleshwar Rao in Salem Steel Plant for the 800 crore hot rolling mill, setting it up, running it, and then moved on to cold rolling mill. 2007 is when I moved out of SAIL and then was with IT services, implementing ERP and setting up data center. So the data center at Bhilai, I was part of the team, and then also integrating your post data MES with the SAP is something that I've done for Bhilai Steel Plant. And then, of course, a lot of smart factory in ArcelorMittal and other manufacturing sectors. So that's a brief background, and thanks a lot for having invited me for this. I would typically talk about a small touch into what is digital transformation, how and what steel industries are doing, just to regroup our thoughts together, and then look at what are the challenges, what are the barriers, and what it takes to build that culture of digital transformation to be successful in the journey. Right. So with that, I will proceed further, and let me know if if my screen is visible. Not yet.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, so let me. Yeah, so kudos to Steel Authority of India Limited for having, I would say a great performance, a growth performance last year, where you've grown about 5%, 5 to 6% on your hot metal production, the crude steel and saleable, of course. And the aim is by 2030. I know this data is, you would have it at the back of your hand, but I thought to set a positive note when we are starting to discuss. And you're kind of doubling your capacity by 2030 by expanding at ISCO, Burnpur, Rourkela, Bokaro, Bhilai, and Durgapur, right? And the primary focus that you have is raw material security, so that I can have my iron ore, my coal that is required to run my plant, right? I'm looking at my capacity expansion so that I can meet the production targets that I have. Decarbonization, we've taken a mild target to come down from 2.5 kgs to 2.3 kgs by 2030. That's what it is. And setting up logistic infrastructure to handle all the raw material, right from mines to the plant, and also to dispatch material, finished goods from the plants to the market, be it export or be it. Apart from that, what's happening on the technology front is you would be switching over to SAP S/4HANA next year. So, a lot of consulting exercises is going on, and then you're going to look at adopting S/4HANA, is what I understand. And related to that, Ved Prakash ji is leading the digital transformation in order to, adopt technology to enable continual improvement and process efficiency in your steel manufacturing, right? And associated with that would be your relook into the cyber security policies, extending it to the plant, where we will have, digital will force you to get into IT and OT. When I say OT, the control system, the PLC system, the SCADA system integration, right? And how would you extend your IT cyber security policies onto the OT layer? So these are the few things that is going on in SAIL, and the next 2 to 3 years, I think all of you are going to be busy with the capacity expansion, digital transformation, looking at certain policies, how each one of you is going to be, I would say, digitally capable enough to handle the transformation or the change that is going to come in, right? So having said that, and the digital transformation that we are talking about, typically the textbook definition, which is what consultants and the strategy consultant like us would say, is a change of, I would say, behavior to adopt, I would say, processes and technology, right, to improve your operations so that you are able to satisfy your customer, right? So that's what McKinsey talks about. IBM says it's not about just technology, though the word is digital transformation. It is not just technology like what we did by adopting SAP, right? It's not just information technology, but it is information technology for business. Whether we are making the place much more safer to work, our inventories are tracked, my assets are available to produce more, my production efficiency is higher, I'm able to tap into the capacity, right? So that's what it is. But to me, if I have to put it very simply as to what is digital transformation is, and all of you would agree, having come from shop floors and plants, that we typically leave out a lot of data generated in the plant through process or equipment in the plant itself. We don't tap it. If we are able to tap that particular data, right, and use it to take our day-to-day decisions, that is what is digital transformation. If you see a vibration monitoring system onto your rolling mill motor, and you're able to look at the pattern, analyze it, maybe manually, or in the advanced technology using your predictive modelings, and able to predict a breakdown, that is where your digital transformation has started, right? If you are able to, I would say, optimize the crane movement, multi-bay crane movement in the steel melting shop, right from your charging bay to your arcing bay to your refining bay, right? And if you can reduce the the delay in tap to tap time, if you're able to optimize that, that is where your digital transformation comes in. We all take decisions based on the data, but then we generate data, we consume it the next minute, and we forget that data. Digital transformation is typically to look at how the data is generated, how the data can be collected, how the data can be used for your day-to-day decisions wherever you are. So now the last tag is that you would be able to take decisions wherever you are, whether you're in the plant or whether you are in your office room or even at your home. If you're able to get a trigger, or if you're able to analyze the data and give directions, take decisions for your operations, that is what is digital transformation, right? But like I said, textbook would talk about a digital strategy, which is typically where do I address my pain points? How do I address my pain points? How do I make people who are going to use this digital technology capable to use? Every one of us uses WhatsApp, but the moment you hand over a app to them on their mobile phone as to log in production, they would say no, राइट व्हाट्सएप एवरी सबको यूज करता है, बट जैसे ही उसको एक ऐप में डाल दे तो देयर इज अ रेजिस्टेंस, सो देयर इज अ कल्चर चेंज and also a capability that needs to be developed. And like Ved Prakash ji said, you would have done a few projects in silos. How do I scale it up to the plant level or to the corporate level? So that is what the transformation journey is about. How do I innovate? We do have quality circles, we do have our small groups which we pick up projects, but how do I create an innovation platform and I would say enable them through technology so that it becomes a mass revolution within the organization, right? And I talked about data availability. All the data, at least today, in all the steel plants are available in the PLC or a 3-day storage in the SCADA or possibly in the logbooks, right? So how do we digitalize that and how we use that, right? And
I want-
adopt them for
I want to interrupt. We have the data, we have the PLC levels in some places, level 2 system also, and level 1
Yes.
is the existing at every place. We have the data, but we are lagging in the AIML part. How to make analyze or make the models so that it can predict like maintenance, asset monitoring. We generate alerts and all that, but why the alert has come, which part has gone bad or which part is dysfunctioning. Like this, we want prediction so that pinpointed, it's like a prescriptive maintenance, what you say.
Exactly, sir. That's what I said. So we generate a lot of data. We use it for the day or for the shift that I am in charge of. And then, we hand it over to the other person. But typically, digital transformation is bringing discipline into this. How do you collect data? What do you do with the data? So, the data, how do you convert it into information and then build in intelligence? And that's what we call it as the models, right? So, if there is a pattern recognition or there are certain heuristics that you can run, simplest things that you can run, or you can have say machine learning of various parameters. Say in a mill motor, I can talk about the speed, I can talk about the vibration, I can talk about the loading onto the mill byte and the change in the current pattern. If I can regroup all this together and correlate them and build a model, then I know that I am able to decipher what the asset is going through and also predict if at all there needs to be a predictive action that needs to be taken so that I can avoid a breakdown. So that's exactly the journey of digital transformation. And why this has become a buzzword today is basically technology is available cheap today. Right, so you have the VLSI chips, you have a lot of sensors coming in with various technologies, and it's become affordable. I will not say cheap, let me put it as affordable. The processing powers have improved. I mean, if I remember, sales started adopting desktops which were 286. उस टाइम पे 280 से चलता था. Now it's Pentium and you have multi processors with co-processors and math processors, graphic cards, video analytics के लिए. So processing has become cheaper, right? Also storage has become cheaper. I mean, we used to struggle using a 3.5 floppy disk, and today you get a 1 TB USB stick for possibly 8,000 rupees or so, right? So the storage has also become cheaper, technology has become affordable, and processing power has improved. So that is what is actually driving data capture and data analysis, which is the base for your digital transformation. So having said that, let me just put this, and the way I'm saying it is, we have all gone through a process of digitalization in the name of digital transformation as on today. right? Vibration analysis, picking up the data, bringing it offline, running an application. It's all digitalization. But have we done it in a collective way as a service? No, that's what is digital transformation talking about. We have had horizontal integration, integrated furnace automation with the roughing mill automation to the secondary mill of automation to the till the down coiler. So once a slab ID is generated, your furnace would know what is the charging sequence, how it is getting discharged, what was the temperature that gets communicated to rolling mill. You have advanced process, the past schedule calculation out there. Based on the slab temperature, it will tweak the past schedules, and based on the exit temperature, the entire pattern, you can have a complete laminar flow control so that your coiling temperature is under control, so that your mechanical structures are good. Right now, this is a part of digitalization that you've already done. But what else needs to be done is something that I'll talk in the next slide. But globally, if you look at it, so while we're talking about integration, we're talking about adoption of PLCs, SCADAs, Historian, we're talking about horizontal integration, vertical integration, like having a production confirmation right from, I would say, as soon as your marking machine has done marking on the coil. I'll give you more examples of hot rolling mill, cold rolling mill, and steel melting, because that's where I've been working for some time. So as soon as your marking machine has completed marking, you can automatically integrate it to SAP for a production confirmation. So that's your vertical integration right from your level 2 to level 4, which is the ERP. That's what is digitalization. But digital transformation is much more than that. So before I delve into what globally is being done, the most focus area in the operation has been in the downstream, which is rolling and coating. It's easier to implement there because the product as such has taken a physical shape. It has an identity from, being solid, right? So slab is generated, a coil is generated, and from there you will have slits, you will have sheets, or you will have, I would say, a bunch of long products. So that's where globally mostly people are focusing on the rolling mills and the coating mills. Apart from operation, if you're looking at where globally people are looking at digital use cases being is customers, right? How do I capture order? How do I handle customer complaints? How do I attribute my process parameters to a product so that whenever there is a customer complaint, I am able to resolve it? But these are all, I would say, reactive. Only we will act only when there is a customer complaint. Then we would get into a non-confirmation report, and then from there on we will go an analysis. The post-mortem of the entire coil is being done, the process is being done. And second one is planning, right? So planning is where we are trying to optimize say a tonnage sequence or a ladle utilization or the heat sequence or the casting sequence, right? And come month end, if I'm in the rolling mill, I would like to roll thicker gauges so that my month end production is higher, and all the thinner gauges I will put it in the middle of the month. So my planning, while it is on the focus, it goes for a toss in terms of optimization as soon as my month end production targets are coming. Now, this is not digital transformation, but this is digitalization, right? So these are certain things that I have learned from experience, that there still exists a culture of emphasizing on production than productivity. Something that we'll have to change as we get into digital transformation, right? And like I said, what is happening in the journey of digital transformation globally? People are, the benefits they're reaping out of it is process efficiency. The number of crane crew members in a multi-bay steel melting shop, they are able to optimize it. We used to have 2 operators per crane once upon a time. I'm talking about the 1990s and early 2000. We used to have, and 4 hours we used to do that. Now, because there is a planning, there is a sequencing of operation that is going on, and the crane movement optimization is going on, we are able to, optimize the manpower that is required, right? Fewer resources, lesser energy that is getting spent per ton of steel that is being produced, right? We have new business models. And when I say new business models, retail has become like Amazon. right? And this is the global trend. So if I want a 8 mm Saria, it's simple. M Junction will have a portal. If I can order that in M Junction, I will be able to translate that into a order for one of these plants. If I have adopted a global planning across Steel Authority of India Limited, and I know which plant will produce it and how it will be dispatched to the customer, right? So that's what it is. So a different model itself is emerging out in terms of digital transformation, enabling each of these operations, right? We have better improved products which is in line with our customer needs, right? At least I remember in Salem Steel Plant we used to struggle rolling 1.8 millimeter, but then we went beyond the mill capacity, and today I think we are rolling 1.6, 1.4. I mean, Rauji can correct me, but we've been rolling 1.2 and 1.6, 1.4 also out there. So we have better products exceeding the mill capacity out there. And what is happening is that to achieve these digitalization and digital transformation, we are co-working with the ecosystem. The ecosystem that we have today is, an ecosystem of hardware and software suppliers. We have cloud providers for giving us a platform to store data, to analyze data and develop applications out there. We have fast computing, I would say, servers from, say, HP or any of these, and we are actually co-adopting technology with the OEMs out there. Plus, we are also working with external specialists, the mill providers, the technology providers, like the Primetal, SMS, PSI Metals. I mean, Steel Authority is full of these people, right? So they bring in technology, as well as they have also ventured into providing the digital know-how and the infrastructure to make your plant digital out there. Globally, we have seen, and I mean, this has been my experience also, that it has gone much, digital transformation has gone much beyond the digitalization that we have experienced in Steel Authority of India Limited, and also some of the other steel plants in India, right? So if you look at it, a product, and I'm just giving you examples of, say, ThyssenKrupp out here, right? A product will come with its all parameters. We call it the horoscope, right? Like what was the heat ID, what was the composition during the during the tapping, during the refining, what is my thermal I would say thermal readings across the coil, what is the flatness, what is the thickness variation. All this is built into with the coil ID that gets generated. So physically there is a coil that is generated, and at the back end you have a coil ID which will have all the parameters with it, and this is available to your your client who's going to use this particular project. And this is happening in ThyssenKrupp today. ThyssenKrupp and Jaguar, ThyssenKrupp supplies material for Jaguar, which makes automotives, and every coil has the data related to that sent to Jaguar, and Jaguar decides based on the coil details how it should do a heat treatment, how it should process the coil or the sheet that it gets from ThyssenKrupp in order to make the automobile out there. Yeah, so that is one way of looking at it. So the product carries all its characteristics along with it. Now, to do this is where you will have to, like I said, an integrated platform of capturing process parameters, the delay, the setups that is going to come in, right? All that needs to come in as a database for that particular coil ID or the heat ID or any of those products that we are selling out there, right? Second is, a customer is able to see where his order is, and he is able to track his order. If required, he can change certain requirements. Though he has placed the order, he's in ability to change certain requirements, and the system is ready to adopt it, right? Say I have identified certain slabs for a certain customer for rolling, but suddenly if the order for rolling is from the client demand is from 1.8 to 1.6 millimeter, and I have not yet allocated those slabs for rolling down in the hot rolling mill, the customer can change it, and an entire rescheduling, resequencing, and reallocation can happen so that the customer order can still be fulfilled, right? So that's what it is. Other thing that we are looking at, and that will be the requirement for the defense, is you're not going to get bulk orders like we used to get earlier. This is specifically for aerospace and defense. Your lot sizes are going to be smaller. Your grades are much more complicated there. So this is going to help you. The digital transformation, while you optimize your capacity, this is going to help you. How do you manage mass customization in terms of your grades, in terms of your lot size, right? And of course, what we are talking about is tracking defect at each of tracking process parameter at each of those junctures, so that you have first time right product. If at all there are certain variations, how the production planning can resequence itself, so that you correct it in the process itself. So that's something that's happening in the global thing. And the last one I would say is light out factory, in the sense there are these advanced models that would typically look at, or I would say autonomous way of working. I'm just giving you an example out here, is something that if in your laminar cooling, you have control valves instead of the on-off valves, and you have various, what do you call those, flow sections. And if I can continuously monitor the temperature of the coil right from the secondary mill, then I can continuously control this control valves, so that there is no manual intervention out there, and that's a model working on its own, so that you will get your coiling temperature and the mechanical strength that is required for the coil. So that's exactly what globally people are adopting to, and these are lessons that I've seen in either ArcelorMittal, Outokumpu, Avestha, or it could be Thyssen Groups, right? So having said this, that this is what is globally steel makers are doing beyond the digitalization that we would have done in silos within our plants, right? So this is what globally steel players are doing. So I'll take a pause here. Any questions?
Gangadhar, like that, our HSM and rolling mills are quite modern. It has the IBAS system. You can record the various parameters during the rolling of any coil, whatever parameter you can configure, like rolling force, shape profile, temperature. So for particular coil, you can have all the data or parameters which you configure. So how those data has to be put to the other systems to perform the AIML or other operations.
So,
or
exactly,
like
sir. So the IBA system, right? This was something very, very we were very possessive, and being from the automation, I was very possessive at Salem Steel Plant, right? And Rao will laugh at that. So we had a 32-channel IBA system, 10 millisecond scan rate. But if you look at it, we typically have been using it only when a cobble has happened or an incident has happened, right?
problem.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, if the IBA system and is connected to say an application, right, which can process those parameters like the roll force, the survival that we are giving, or the temperature difference between the drive end and the non-drive end, right, or the slip that we are creating, which is all measured in the IBA system. But if I'm able to process it and do the corrections online to the systems, right? Like what we do in thickness gauges. So thickness gauge feeds back to your mill bite, and it is able to, do the thrust, fine tune the thrust force, so that you are able to maintain the thickness, right? Yeah. So similarly, if you are able to do this closed loop and feed forward, these two in real time, while we have a very good IBA system, but if we can actually make it real time, closed loop and feed forward, that's what is, the pinnacle of digital transformation that we can look at. Right? Otherwise, we will be always doing a post-mortem analysis, and then we'll say next slab ke liye do survival de dena, and this is what it is. Iska speed thoda kam kar dena. It's always a post-mortem after the cobble has happened. Right? So that is what it is. I'll take a pause here. Any questions, or I can then move on to the next section.
Sir, maybe we can move on and take the questions at last, sir. That is
Sure.
okay.
So typically, what is the pathway of a digital transformation journey? And it is a journey. It is not that I will do something in 6 months, 8 months. It's a continuous journey where technology keeps on changing, your process challenges keeps on coming up, and you are trying to solve this, right? And I've had this discussion with the digital transformation team out there. So I think you start with a vision, and this vision is where we are saying that I would improve my capacity, I would reduce my cost, I would make it paperless. You can have 5 or 6 objectives to create your vision, right? So have your vision statement very clear based on the business priorities, and that is what is going to drive your business priorities. Like I said, you're getting into a capacity expansion, you're getting into decarbonization, you're getting into more of IT OT connectivity, so that you're having more real-time information to help you make decisions, right? So those are your business priorities. And then comes in your operational priority. And in the sense, if I can talk a bit, off-grade heat co, how can I keep it below 2%? Or cobble percentage, how can I keep it 1%? Right? These are your operational priorities. So translated from your business priorities are your operational priorities. Once these operational priorities are done, you should look at what is your technology landscape. And when I say technology landscape, it could be your OT, it could be your network, it could be your storage, it could be your IT. Any of this, look at your landscape and develop a scalable, flexible end state architecture. And when I say end state architecture, be very clear that these are my guiding principles. If I have supposed to go to cloud, which cloud am I using? Which analytics engine that I'm going to use? What is going to be my base for mobility application? What is going to be my plant historian? Standardize that. You might have all kind of systems, right from Siemens, Rockwell, Schneider in the utilities, ABB and Siemens in your mill. But where do I collect this operational data? What is going to be my OT data warehouse? Whether it is going to be a time series database on the cloud, or whether it's going to be a central historian of 10,000 tags, which can which can store data for 3 years, so that I can do historical analysis. Those are the architecture principles that you will have to bring in. Right. Along with that is your cyber security. What is my demilitarized zone? Where is my access control? What am I going to give access to what layer, whether to OT layer or whether to PLC layer, or it will be limited to only MES layer, right? So that is what you're going to look at that. From there, so once you have your business priorities and I would say the operational priorities, and operational priority will change function to function, and you have a mota like sale का भिलाई plant का architecture या फिर Rourkela steel plant का architecture. Once you have this architecture with you, you start creating initiative portfolios. What do you mean by initiative portfolios? Are like what will take priority, what, and again, how do you decide what will take priority, right? It is technology feasibility. How easily can I do it with the available technology that is available? And what is my business returns? Both of them need to be looked. I cannot have I would say, a boiler optimizer in silo, which is not going to talk to my, say, the Concast control systems, right? And I'm efficient as a boiler, but I'm not able to feed it into the Concast. Those information I'm not able to feed it to the Concast. So if you can't integrate it, then it is not as part of your technology landscape. So see that you have a uniform technology landscape, look at the technology feasibility, and also very important that there has to be a business case to adopt it. You cannot do it for, sorry to use this word, as fashion or trend, because that's exactly what we do when we start to do some project. Energy conservation करना है तो ठीक है. All the I would say water treatment plant में soft starter लगा दो, and we buy so many soft starters, and we implement them, and then we forget it. It becomes a fad. Rather than that, look at the business justification, technology feasibility, and then look at the prioritization. And that's what is going to give you budgets for phase to phase, right? So a phase could be a 6 months to 8 months journey in a year. So you would have you would run typically 6 to 7 phases to at least attain a 60-70% maturity. In your case, you've been very clear that within 3 years or so, you are wanting to reduce the cost or improve a profitability by 1,000 crores, right? So that's what you are aiming at. Prioritize that, and then to monitor it. And the governance is pretty important out there. Governance in terms of the architecture management, right? And the program management. Program management is easier than the architecture management, while it has its own challenges. But architecture management is very important because we don't want any solutions to be running in silo and not providing us the end-to-end connectivity and the benefits to that. Right? So that's exactly what you should. So you should, once you have finalized your end state architecture, it is flexible, but you need to scale it and you need to integrate it to that. Yes, sir. You want to? Sure. Then you get into design and you get into all translation of design into execution, and then the value realization will happen. So you have identified the value through the technology feasibility and the business cases. You've prioritized them, and then you get into value realization, and that's the journey that you have. So this is while it is a very high level approach, and I have seen it being successful in at least 4 or 5 of my projects, right? We can discuss more on this if there is interest, but I'll just skip this out here. And what are the lessons that I have learned and my team has learned, having gone through around 4 or 5 digital transformation journeys with the likes of GAIL, HPCL, British American Tobacco, Kraft Heinz, and ArcelorMittal, right? Every firm, every corporate, every plant is into the digital transformation journey, one way or the other. या तो मैंने उसको साइलो में किया होगा, मेंटेनेंस डिपार्टमेंट के लिए किया होगा, या फिर security surveillance के लिए I would have done video analysis. We are all in one part, one way or the other. We are part of the journey out there, right? And it is unique to every plant. Even in SAIL, whatever is applicable to Bhilai may not be applicable to Rourkela. It's unique to each of these plants. You may have a global design, but you will require a local tweaking, and that local tweaking will be to the order of 30 to 40% that will be required. You can decide on the platform, you can standardize on the technology components, but the way it is being implemented and the benefits is gotten out of that is going to be unique to that particular plant, right? This transformation cannot be bottoms up. While it is being executed bottoms up, this has to be led top down. It has to be there has to be a leadership push from there, and it has to be owned by the HODs or the line managers, what we call it, because that's where they bring everything together: operation, maintenance. And the complexity of SAIL is you have automation department, instrumentation department, electrical department, mechanical department. These all form the maintenance department, right? Uske beech mein you will have quality, you will have operations. Even operation would be divided into 2 or 3 ways, right? Raw material handling, processing, depending on the complexity of the organization out there. So this has to be where all these people converge into. He has to be the leader of these use cases, the journey that he's going to have it in his function, right? So that's what it is. Then we are talking about, investment should be in technology and not into some product या solution. मैं Siemens का Mendix ले लेता हूँ, या फिर मैं PTC ThinkWorks का platform ले लेता हूँ, because that gives me congregation of all the PLC data into one single historian. It cannot be product oriented. It has to be, to overcome your challenges, and whatever fits into the challenges. Don't get led by a product or a platform. Platform and products are, I would say, a byproduct, or a component that gets fit into your digital transformation journey. That's what it is. Business case, prioritization, and the way you look at your technical feasibility. These are the things that is prime important to drive, because you are trying to solve a challenge in operation or challenge in your business function. That is what you're trying to solve. You're not buying a technology for the sake of a technology. I can't have a production confirmation app onto my mobile just because I want to go, I want to have a mobility enablement. Or there is a department that is going to develop mobile apps and I'll do this. It has to have certain business sense. Is there a return on investment on that particular application? So that's what is going to drive all these things, right? And it is a journey. There has to be a stage-wise implementation. Even if I'm looking at, and I'll give you an example, ki foundational networking की बात करते हैं. So networking also, you don't have to lay the entire network in one go. Depending upon your prioritization, say this time the prioritization is between the arc furnace, the refining furnace, and the concast. I can leave out the scrapyard, and I can leave out perhaps the slab yard, right? But this is what is my prioritization. So I will lay the network, I'll invest in the network only for these three bays. And then in the next roadmap, I will do the others. I mean, you will have to justify that. Of course, each scenario is different. I'm just giving you a hypothetical situation. So don't look at investing, completely onto a technology or completely onto an infrastructure. It will grow because things will change. Your challenges are going to change. Your requirements will change as you mature in your digital transformation journey, right? And like I said, have an end state architecture, but go piece by piece, modularize it. Today, if I'm trying to do a heat tracking, I'll do a heat tracking, extend it to perhaps ladle tracking. And that ladle tracking, then I will look into preheating the ladle. What is the energy consumption? So modularize that. So that is why your architecture is very important, because that is going to be the backbone of it. So have an architecture and then modularize this architecture into modular implementations that you need to have, right? Biggest challenge for SAIL is going to be retrofitting of all the existing assets, right? But I would say this is the biggest boon also, because you're not going to change your assets, but you can actually standardize on the technology that you're going to use to retrofit, right? If you're looking at, say, certain induction proximity switches, you can actually standardize it for, say, 55 kilowatt motor and above के लिए ये रहेगा, for 55 kilometer and kilowatt motor के नीचे ये रहेगा. If I'm looking at multi-factor meters for measuring the currents and the transients, I can always standardize across, saying that this is what it is, right? So this also gives you, while there is a lot of retrofit going on, this also gives you opportunity to standardize those retrofits. So look at that, right? Then the other thing is be agile. Don't be fixative. Keep boss, I mean, I need to do a heat tracking. Heat tracking में ऐसे ladle पे, I mean, 110 का ही ladle करूँगा, and उसके बाद ही मैं 60 ton का ladle लूँगा. Don't be fixative. It may be easier for you to, change your plan in between. Be agile. And even if you're failing, fail fast. Learn from them and then come back, jump up, and then come back again. Because digital transformation, like I said, is a journey, is a learning. You cannot, I mean, and there is no pure play solution key. You buy it from the market and put it across. What works for you in Rourkela may not work for in Salem Steel Plant or in ISCO Burnpur plant. Right? So you will have to have very flexible plants. You will have, I would say, I don't want to call it failure, but for a better word, you will have learnings from having not gone forward with whatever your intentions were. Regroup and then again, recalibrate yourself. This is also the time to decide what you're going to build within the organization. Are you going to develop an application within, say, I'm just giving you another example, is to look at video surveillance, right, for heat tracking or any of these. Are you going to build it within the organization or you're going to buy it? This is the time to decide on that. What are you going to build and how you're going to maintain that? Or are you going to buy and depend on a OEM vendor for the support that you're going to look at? So this is the time to recalibrate your skills, right? I mean, people are going to use it, people are going to maintain it, people are going to enhance it. Digital being new, you need to perhaps build capability. We've been all working with Fox Pro, and then we switched on to, SAP, and then in the PLCs also from, step 3, step 5, and now step 7. From Cinnc H1 to, Profibus, and now to Ethernet. We've been learning in our journey, but those journeys have been like 5-7 years. Technology is changing so fast that you will have to start learning within, unlearn and relearn in 6 months. That's what we'll have to do. So keep a good budget for capability development. Have training programs on, the use of Gen AI onto video surveillance, the voice to text conversions, or text to, I would say video to images, and processing those images, right? So these are fast changing technologies that you're looking. And at some time, 5-6 years from down, you might be actually doing a 3D print or printing of your O-rings or gaskets for your pumps at the plant itself. So that technology is going to come in. So build capability for future requirements out there, right? And looking at, I just bucketed them into technical barriers and organizational barriers. That what I've done is, whatever you decide on, right? Your hardware infrastructure, the software that you're looking at, see that they are reliable, they're safe, security, and that's going to be a barrier for you. Being a asset heavy, dealing with hot metal, right? Heat, I would say, and also mostly manual, I would say manual operations of certain aspects. You will have challenges in terms of selecting a technology. I have tried, I would say, Wi-Fi network in a yard management, and I have failed miserably. Every week I had to recalibrate all my, I would say, the signal stations, because it's such a interfering ambience that you have. And if I have 2 tires of coil, the calibration is different. If I have 3 tires of coil, the calibration is different. And every time I've had this challenge. I've been implementing yard management for the last 7-8 years, but every time I have had this challenge. Of course, you can actually use Bluetooth. Bluetooth is advancing to almost 12 meters. It is a bit costly. So you would have technical barriers into that, right?
Zigbee.
Zigbee, yes. Then your old production systems. I know the case of Rourkela and Bokaro. Will be happy to hear if you have shifted from wax systems, Fortran 77 for sinter plant, right? You still, if I remember 10 years back, you still had that problem. How do you actually migrate from the old system to new system, or how do you integrate with the old system, the wax deck system that you're looking at, right? So those are going to be your technology barriers out there. Then what we are looking at is these projects or these use cases, if they are not integrated together in the entire operation. Steel melting shop is a complete operation, right from your hot metal pouring into the BOF or the arc furnace, and then refining in the ladle furnace, tracking the ladle, taking it to the concussed. Even if you have silo of applications, if it's not integrated with the entire process, you don't get the full benefit. Yes, you would have been succeeded at the project, but you may not get the benefit that you have envisaged. The other challenges that we would get is, like I said, the required hardware to, work at the ambience. I've tried RFID tags to ceramic tags that can take up 800 degrees centigrade for ladle tracking, right? I have failed most of the times, and then I had to put an enclosure, put a tag out there, a booster, so that the tags can be changed. So your requirement is, your ambience is so tough that we will have to look at, we'll have challenges of, the hardware out there. And typically being public sector, we will have to be very clear whether what we are going to take to the cloud and what we are going to keep it in the on-prem, right? So those are the few technical barriers. And I think organization barriers, I've already told you that while we all are skilled steel makers, our technology know-how has to upgrade to the new technologies when we get into the digital transformation, right? And we all are looking at, short payback success. I mean, appraisal season aa gaya, to do project kar liya, and then show it to this. No, this is a journey. You will have to do continual improvements, right? And that culture has to change. It is not for today's success, but we are looking at achieving the vision and the objective that we had listed down out there. So small successes, yes, they are good footsteps, but continual journey is what is required out there, right? Then steel industry, each one being different, we don't have much of references as to what has worked where, what has not worked where. What has worked in one plant may not work in another plant. There's a lot of, I would say, one is lack of information sharing between the steel plants, between the steel players itself. Second is I would say Indian steel industry, where we look at a cost comes from perhaps one head, the benefits are attributed to multiple heads. So say if I look at vibration sensor onto a pump, it would be perhaps the instrumentation department along with the IT department which would do the project, and the pump is a mechanical asset. The benefit is for mechanical. How do you attribute this at the end of it? So you will have to bring out this framework. Key asset could be who's the owner, where is the benefit coming? So that's why I said a line manager or the HOD is the owner of it. The benefit goes to him, irrespective of whether the function or the sub function is, the maintenance or the operation or quality. So these are few of the technology barriers that I've put in. My last slide here, and then possibly we will have a thing. So putting that together, like I said, have a vision. All your objectives should be aligned with the overall vision and the strategy, right? Create a roadmap. It is a journey. You cannot be taking, I have the manpower, I have the technology, let me take 20 projects together. No, you really need to own it up and you need to take it forward from there. You need to have a well-defined operating model. Who's going to get the benefit? How are we going to have the process? What is the business case behind it? Which departments are, I would say, impacted departments? Who are going to be contributing to it? All that has to be there. And like I said, this has to be top driven. This has to be nailed from the top. There has to be a leadership commitment out here. And whatever business, so the technology is going to have an impact on your business process as you go digital, right? Like log in every hour, which today when I log it into the logbook, I'll do it in the first hour, I'll do it in the 4th hour, I'll do it in the 8th hour, and I'll say do for everything. Right. But if I will have a timestamp onto the e-logbook. So there will be a culture alignment with the future state, right? Program management and architecture management is quite important. And I think I've talked about all this digital literacy, integrated architecture, and of course, last but not the least is the cyber security. Build in your cyber security with the architecture itself and follow the basic principles. Cybersecurity is much, much important because you are now dealing with data. You're connecting your operational data with the IT data and also giving access in a future state. You would be giving access to your vendors, your suppliers, your clients. So that is quite important out here. These are a few thoughts that I have collected over the past, I would say 34 years of having worked in steel industry, taken that experience to the manufacturing industry for digital transformation, creating smart factories, and been successful many times, but have learned through my failures also. So open to questions now. I hope I have done justice to the topic. Rajesh, hope.
Yes, sir. Very
Thank
much,
you.
sir. In fact, we're so much engrossed that we didn't realize that 45 minutes have passed. And we wanted to continue, but just considering the time constraints, So we are open now to question answers. Any queries that you can directly ask to the sir? Or
I'm leaving my email ID and phone number. You could always connect with me, and I shall be sharing a sanitized copy of this with Rajesh, who would perhaps circulate it.
yeah, we will upload it in the EAB answer. You can post your questions any from the participant in the chat box, or you can ask directly, sir. A good opportunity to ask from the expert directly.
Hello. Gangadharji, I am Indranil Banerjee from SDTT. I am having a question.
Sir.
Actually, you talked about this creating this technology landscape and all.
Yes,
So
sir.
while we are crafting this our roadmap for this SAIL digital transformation,
Yes, sir.
as you know that SAIL is moving towards a big modernization project also. So now presently we are in a phase of 19 approximately million ton of steel production. So in
Yes.
future, in maybe 5-6 years, we will be moving towards 30 million ton.
Yes.
What are the things that we should look into while drafting our roadmap now, so that all the new sections, new mills, new plants which are coming, so they can be plugged into these solutions which we are planning today? For
So
the
yeah, so I'll just give a brief idea. It's a huge topic because that's a journey, but I'll tell you the demand from you with your new mill suppliers in terms of specification is that they need to give you a network backbone. Say you're setting up a rolling mill, they need to give you a network backbone as part of the package. Most of their machines or most of their systems, I would say, right? Most of their systems in today's date should be OPC UA compliant. And these are some things that you need to put it in your,
Yes.
I would say, the specifications, right? And being steel experts yourself, I think what you should do is for that particular plant, for the particular line, I would say, map the KPIs and how you derive at those KPIs, which is what I call as the metrics or the raw data, right? And put it in the specification that this data needs to be accessed by a central, I would say, a data warehouse. You know the frequencies. Being steel experts, you know exactly what you want to measure at shift end, R end, real time, and all that stuff, which is already available in your PLC, SCADA, or any of these. Put a central historian for for that particular line, right? Network it with security. Get this minimum thing done as you build your line into the specifications. Once your data has already been there, then you can align it with your digital transformation journey in terms of using the data to solve your problems. Otherwise, what will happen is you will get into retrofit mode, whether the plant comes in 2024 or the plant has come in 2010, you would face the same problems. You would have the problem of infrastructure. You would have problems of how to pick up the data. I mean, all you don't know is how to use the data. But if the data is there are people to help you out. There will be capable people within Steel Authority of India Limited who can use the data and create models, be it statistical model or first principle models, whatever be it. But for them, the basic requirement is data. So get the infrastructure set for that, for your new plants.
Thank you.
Or by putting a single line, the system and all the process should be IoT compliant, IoT 4.0 compliance. That will serve.
नहीं ऐसा नहीं. Then वो सर आपके roller table के छोटे छोटे मोटर में भी सेंसर लगाना शुरू कर देगा, which is basically going to escalate the cost. So if you're looking at it, that's exactly why you need to say that for critical assets, I need condition-based monitoring. For monitoring these KPIs, I need data for this.
Okay.
So all the PLC data needs to be collated at some place. I mean, you will have to brainstorm depending upon the line that it is like, and to the level that you want to bring in. I'm just giving you an example that not all the 30,000 tags for a roughing mill is going to be used for my analysis. When I actually look at it, I need only 400, 500 tags to be used for my roughing mill optimization. Be it asset optimization, be it operational optimization, or be it quality optimization. And all of us know, having worked in steel industry, we know कि वो कौन से tags है. तो उसी में specification दे देना चाहिए. I mean, if Siemens is going to be your automation expert, then you should tell them very clearly कि these tags needs to be exported onto a central time series database or a historian that is connected. And that historian will be, what I'll do with that data is something later, but then that historian has to be accessed on my IT network where I'm going to run the application.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very
Thank
elaborate.
you, sir. Any more questions?
Gangadhar ji, Rishi here.
Yes, sir. Namaste. कैसे हैं sir?
Just one thought from your end. To have a sustained success in this journey, we need to have a capability building along the journey as well.
Yes,
so can
sir.
you share your experience, the success stories you shared about 3-4 companies? What percentage of technical people or persons were involved as far as capability building is concerned?
So, sir, if I take a shop and let me say steel melting shop, and I'm talking about only the arc furnaces or the BOFs out there, right? You need to have core group, which we call it as the functional champions, right? And the functional champions will consist of your operation, quality, mechanical, instrumentation, and IT department, and the PLC department. These are the things you will have, and they would do your regular work, but they will be part of the digital transformation journey. And from the steel melting shop, there will be one functional champion who would be part of your digital transformation office, right? So he will attend the transformation meetings, everything, and he comes back and he translates everything in within the core group. That is what capability building. I think we need to have network engineers. We need to and because the way today's sale automation is there, we will have to get interconnectivity. In the team, we will have to have people who can design networks in the existing infrastructure. We will require people with, and this is a core group that you will have, is require people of data science and data engineers. Data science is typically looking at the data and saying how do you solve a problem. Data engineer is how do you manage a data, how do you validate a data, how do you clean a data, how do you retrieve a data, how do you store a data. So that's a combination that you will require to have, and they have to be upgraded. I mean, they have to be having refresher trainings as technology is getting developed. And then of course, I don't have to say this, but your instrumentation and your electrical or automation would have to be upgraded to the new technologies of smart sensors, right? So it is a core group, but the capability development has to happen as far as implementation is concerned. Now, the other thing that comes in is the user. My experience has been that digital transformation brings you benefits only if the user accepts to use the application or at least listen to what the use case benefits are. So they have to be trained, retrained, refreshed, trained for, it. I mean, in my experience, once in a quarter, you tell them how the application behaves, what is it, and what are the changes that you have done in the last 3 months. So this is a continual process of building that user acceptability and training and boosting the morale. So that's more of a culture and user acceptability that you have to. I mean, typically the way I have seen in SAIL or Tata Steel is, sir, ये तो हम जमाने से किए जा रहे हैं, आप क्या नया नया दिखा रहे हो हमको? And he will avoid doing it.
Acceptability.
Good evening, Gangadhar ji. Can I say something? I am R.K. Mudali, CGM Hospital Mill to Rourkela.
Yes, sir. Namaste, sir.
Namaste. Actually, we, as you know, we have got a modern mill, and most of the things was what we talked in the context of rolling mill. We are having it. Like online correction in the flatness profile, differential roll force, was center line deviation, width deviation. What we are doing, we are correcting a certain part in the level 1 in the same bar. Then the next bar by self-learning technique, our level 2 is adapting. So we have got a network backbone. We have got OPC compliant servers also. We got central data housing. We have got condition monitoring. But what I saw, because the question was based on the future projects, we lack in smart sensors. though the plant came just 3-4 years, it was commissioned 3 years back, but there is no smart sensors. So I think your advice should be that we should definitely go for that, because we got a huge data, but there again where most of the cases, and even though intelligent, sometimes not smart to the fullest extent. My question is that I am not able to really appreciate in what type of units we should go for digital twinning, because as a user, I don't have digital twinning facility, but I read. So what are the units where we should go for that, and what benefit we can get from that? Can you please elaborate on this?
So digital twin is a concept that has been very wrongly used in various instances, right? If I'm able to see my process parameters in a line diagram as to what is happening, what is the speed, what is the roll gap, what is the thrust force, roll force, and all that stuff, that is also a digital twin for me, which is typically I'm looking at a real-time depiction of what is happening, right? Which is a Coros LSC or WinCC screen पे आ गया तो वो मेरे लिए digital twin ही है, which I'm able to remote control. Now the next level of digital twin is, can I build some intelligence into it, right? Say transfer bar का मेरे को अगर temperature आ रहा है, and then I run a model somewhere else, right? And then suggest that this should be the gap, which is what your past schedule calculator will do, right? If I'm able to do that and project it and it is accepted by the operator, that is the next step of digital twin. The third one is, and the most advanced one, is where I can do simulation. So where I build scenarios, right? If I keep my discharge temperature to be around 1100, what will be my thrust force if this is my pass schedule, right? In case of your pass schedule calculator, you'll have to run it. In case of a digital twin, you just have to feed in a few parameters and it will tell you whether this is rollable or not, whether this is within the mill limits or not, or if it is rollable, will I get the thickness that is required or not, or will there be a roll spawn?
It
Right,
means
so you build your Hasan.
offline simulation can be run by the identifying the various sensitive parameters. If this is changed, what could be the outcome, and like that. Offline you can see. Online it's not possible.
So you don't have to actually do it, but you can simulate it. And where digital twin is most effective is where you actually are able to simulate, like I'm reheating furnace का spatial distribution. मेरे पास 20 thermocouple है, but that is just giving me some data out there. But if I can actually tell when I build a model saying that these 20 thermocouples is going to give me this spatial distribution of heat, and my left charging, my right charging, or my center charging is going to be like this. This is the soaking temperature that I will have. This will be the head temperature that will be, again, predicting on the model. That is a digital twin that you can adopt. Or in case of blast furnace, because we don't know what is the reactions that is going on, if I have the sensors out there, can I model the heat transfer in a blast furnace? That's a digital twin that you can have. And those are operational digital twins that you can have, which can be used for visualization as well as it can be used for offline simulation and try what is most optimized for you.
Actually, what happened when you tried different grades while commissioning the mill, around 40 odd grades were rolling now. We got some metallurgical code from our RCL or steel makers. Then we put in our MES. Then MES with the boundary conditions download the setup to level 2. So there is no chance for us to simulate. Only we tried. Then then we got the downloaded value of that target roll force, then the current, then whatever. So we tried, and some of the coils we also produced bad coils. So then level 2 itself tuned. Then we took the help of our experts sitting in Japan and all these things. So if a simulator is available in the form of digital twin, I'm sure it's going to help. So how much required in the rolling, how much is required in sinter making, how is the blast furnace? I don't know whether it is cost effective. Should we go for such type of things at the time of the project specifications? That is my question. How cost effective and how much you can leverage out of that? That is my question.
Typically, if you look at it, wherever there is a continuous process, like I said, a reheating furnace hua या फिर एक blast furnace हो गया, right? These are the places where you should, through inception itself, you should go for a digital twin. Because there is those digital twins are built from first principles,
Yes.
right? So that's easier to adopt and easier to stabilize. Whereas when you talk about a roll mill byte or any of these things, right, while it is developed through first principles, you will be using multiple kind of rolls. कोई टोयो से आएगा, कोई आपका टाटा से आएगा, कोई जर्मनी से आएगा, then उसको फिर simulate करके बैठना पड़ेगा उसको, right? So those are some things that you can adopt later. But I think wherever there is a continuous process and where you don't have visibility, where as to what the ambience is, or what the heat is, or what the grade is. Like for a BOF, I know oxygen lands for 20 minutes. अगर मैं lancing करता हूँ, तो this is what it is. I can put simulators out there, right? While I pick up a lot of data real time, and I can do an online simulation, it will predict कि slag बन गया है, नहीं बना, या फिर it's time to tap, or you need to blow for 2 more minutes or not.
Right.
Thank you,
So-
sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir. Any more questions, or shall we proceed? I think so. We can take it even offline, sir. Sir has shared his contact details also. Thank you, sir, for sharing. For the next and for summarizing such a beautiful session, may I request Sanjay, sir, to please, sir, provide the closing remarks and also the summarization of the session.
Thank you, Rajesh, and thank you, Gangadharan sir, for a wonderful and very grounded, very practical, insightful interaction on a subject where, for us, the understanding of the subject is very tenuous. We get a feeling that we have understood it, and then when we start applying something, we feel that we are not understood. So, that is a challenge that we face with digital transformation. Thank you for helping us understand the big picture, and then getting out of the micro by first setting the context by saying that we need to look at the business agenda. It was very heartening to see, sales vision and chairman's priorities being projected before we started discussing about digital transformation. That's very important. And you gave us some good inputs about, the capability perspective from the organization and the technology-based perspectives. Where you talked about starting with strategy, looking at innovation. Again, you underlined this issue of skilled workforce at various points in your interaction. I think that's especially relevant for us in terms of working at capability development. You also talked about, data availability, which is also part of our strategy of what we call democratization of data. And again, reiterating the fact that we are actually not that much off the mark when we are looking at a lot of iterative process. I think we have also been doing the same thing in SAIL. So it might sound messy for us, but actually it's quite useful for us because we are learning in the process. So that is one validation that we have got of our approach to digital transformation. And one insight that we really picked up was, the heart of the matter is bringing in discipline into the process of managing data and technology. I mean, the data is there, the technology is there. We have a fair idea of how to use it, but how do you bring discipline into this process? I think that was one very beautiful insight. And you talked about, digital transformation being taken from the perspective of the processes and also from the perspective of the managerial functions, whether it's planning or executing and all that. And we really need to take both these aspects in mind. And again, reiterating the fact that digitalization alone is not digital transformation. So we might like to seek some comfort in the fact that we have done a lot of digitalization. So that means we are doing digital transformation. What we really need to understand is we have done the prerequisites for digital transformation, not really transform the organization. That's very important. And the case studies of ThyssenKrupp and Jaguar was also a very practical insights on how does digital transformation address a business concern like customer centricity or mass customization. No, at the end of the day, that's what we are looking at. This is just an enabler. And the importance of having closed loop and feed forward as our, test for understanding whether we're really transforming or not. I mean, otherwise you can have a lot of automation, but it's not really transforming. That was very important in terms of giving us the big picture of how do you go from, the value realization to taking it all the way up to getting that value delivered. That was very interesting. And getting the architectural aspects in place, and at the same time understanding that we may implement in a modular basis. But even when we are implementing modularly, we have to get the basic architecture in place so that things can fit in. And you have warned us against working in silos, and that's one issue that we always keep worrying about. The challenge is not in doing pilots; it's understanding that how does it integrate with a larger whole. Another very interesting insight that I think all of us need to look at is you talked about investing in technology, not a product or a platform. Frankly enough, closing in on a product or a platform is relatively easier. So that the temptation to zero in fast is always there. So, but you always emphasize the fact that we need to focus on technology because that provides us the connectivity across to the future and across our function. That was very, very interesting as a and much closer to what we and HRD do is the need to build capabilities, not just for things that we are doing now, but things that we need to do in the future. And you have actually highlighted that very important part about, having a basket of capabilities where I have functional domain expertise who need to understand the technology enough. At the same time, within the same disciplines of digital transformation, I need specialists. Like you mentioned, data security, and you mentioned networking as some of the aspects. So we are looking at a lot of interventions, which provides a whole hierarchy of capabilities also to match the requirements of things like, mentioned, we need to differentiate between data scientists and data engineers, and we need both. So we need to understand whether we are sourcing both or not. Otherwise, we get lopsided and things like that. And the importance of training users and retraining users. Again, because we are working in a dynamic technological landscape, so the users need to keep on getting reoriented. I think that also answers the question of how many people do we need to develop capabilities on digital transformation. It is very clear, everybody. The only thing is the degree will vary. But everybody needs to be developed and redeveloped as we go along. And those were very, very interesting insights that you gave us. And I really appreciated the discussion about digital twins, because again, that's a fancy term that we throw every time we have any kind of simulation. And you clarified what being a digital twin really adds value and where it adds value. I mean, getting that clarity in terms of going beyond the hype to real value was something that we really appreciated and we loved it. So I think it was a wonderful session, and I'm sure everybody has benefited a lot from this interaction. I'd once again like to thank you, and I'd like to thank all the people who have taken time to attend this workshop. Again, let me clarify that they're not all from digital transformation. They're all from different domains, but we understand it's relevant to all of us, and they're all leaders who will drive this transformation in our organization. And again, I'd like to highlight at this point of time that not only is Antardrashti session very relevant for us at this point of time, I'd also like to use this to reiterate another initiative that we have taken when we have tied up with Future Skill Primes, where we are saying we want everybody in our organization to understand Digital 101, because everybody at the minimum is going to be a user. So they need to understand what they're dealing with. And that platform provides us a lot of specialized training for those people who will be working as core functional teams. So yes, capability development is a very important aspect for us, and the company as a whole is working on it. And I'm sure, with these kind of interactions and with some more supplementary interventions that we are having, we are geared up to really transform our organization as a collective, not only from the technology perspective, but also from a cultural perspective. So thank you once again, and we look forward to moving.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Gangadhar sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll now officially close this meeting. Thank you all for this being the part, and thank you, sir, for a very enlightening experience, sir. Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much. My pleasure. My
We look
pleasure.
forward to, sir, meet you offline, sir.
Sure. We will. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.